Hi, teachers and staff. This mini training is all about ease, all about making life simple in what I'm doing on a daily basis to where I don't have to reinvent the wheel and constantly try to find new things or things that I was in yesterday. How do I make life simple and accessible, especially when I'm in front of my students and I don't have a whole lot of time to waste? So, the first thing that I want to talk about is favoriting. If you haven't started favoriting different things on your home screen, I highly recommend you do that. It is very easy to get rid of favorites if you no longer need them. So if I have favorites off to the side that I no longer need, let's say I don't want YouTube anymore, just press and hold and I can exit out. I can get rid of it. So don't worry about adding too many favorites, right? And in addition, if I run out of space, it's just going to add more space for me for my favorites section. Remember that you can also favorite more than just apps. If I go into my apps on the bottom, I can absolutely favorite just about anything in here by pressing the star. Remember also, if Google Apps is something you want to favorite, your Google Drive, YouTube, Google Slides, that is hiding in featured content. Inside of featured content, if I scroll all the way to the right, here's where my Google Apps are. Okay, so if I want to add in Google Docs as an app, then I can go into my apps here. Google Docs will show up, and here now I can favorite that as well. So now when I go back to my home screen, Google Docs is a favorite, right? But make sure that you also remember that you can favorite just about anything. You can favorite whiteboard files. So if I go into my files here, inside of Lumio, I can favorite something that I made last week by just pressing the star. And now that is also favorited. You can also favorite web pages. So if you go into something, for example, let's say I go to this slideshow, the do's and don'ts of using my device every day, or for morning meeting, or for Eureka slides, I'm in that lesson for 3 weeks. I can just star it. And then when I no longer need it, I can press and hold it and get rid of it from my favorites. But what that's going to do is allow instant access to whatever it is that I'm looking for. Also, remember that anything that's inside of your internet browser, as long as you are signed into your profile, these tabs are going to save until you close out of them. So that's another reason to be using the board's built-in internet browser and all the features that it has, because it's just going to make life more simple. Few other tips and tricks that will hopefully help you along the way. Right below my profile button is the apps button. If I press it, it's going to pull up all the applications that I currently have running. So here's Google Chrome, here's my document camera, here's my whiteboard. And if I had my settings open, if I had Spotify open, those would also be there too. I can easily hop back and forth between any of them just by the click of a button rather than having to press my home screen and find where it is. So as long as it's already open, I can just swap over to it. So here, for example, is my .cam, but that's not plugged in right now. So that's why I kicked it. But just as another example, even from my home screen, I could go into Google Chrome. From Google Chrome, I can hop into my notebook and be easily hopping back and forth between those different applications seamlessly without having to go back to the home screen and find exactly where it's at. Now, inside of this tips and tricks training, I thought it would only be fair to talk about background music. That is something that many teachers and staff are really itching to know more about, and for whatever reason, sometimes it doesn't work, right? I'm playing a video and I minimize, or I go to another tab and it stops playing. And the reason for that is there's a copyright issue when there is something playing in the background that's a video in relation to smart technologies. So that's why it doesn't work. So if you're playing a YouTube video and then you back out, it's always going to pause. It's never going to continue. However, if there is no video attached to the music, it will play in the background no problem. So let me give you an example. So I'm in YouTube Music right now, which is a free platform that anyone can use. And right now I'm playing Summer of '69, Bryan Adams, right? It has a music video attached. So as soon as I change tabs or go anywhere else, it stops playing. However, if I have something such as Kids Bop that doesn't have music videos attached to it, some songs do, but some don't, I'm able to play those no problem. They say, oh my God. And go anywhere on my smartboard. Now I'm be writing on my board. I could even be in my document camera, right? And everything is still running. Now, while that music continues to play in the background, I did want to talk about the platforms that we've tested with this and the ones that I haven't necessarily tested with it. So I know that this background music piece works in any web browser tab. So if I am in my web browser, I'm in YouTube Music right now. Quick side note, I could also save this as a favorite, right? So if I save this tab as a favorite, now I'll just be able to go into it whenever I want to and just search for a new artist or what have you, or search for background music, and that could be playing in the background too. YouTube Music has tens of thousands of songs that are already there that, again, are free. Every once in a while, an ad will pop up, but I've never heard of any that are not appropriate, especially if you're playing something like Kids Bop. So we also have tested this with Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Music. Them seem to work just fine as long as you're in the web browser. So if you have access to any of those platforms, all you have to do is open up a new tab and search for it. So for example, if I go to Amazon Music, which if you have Amazon Prime, you have Amazon Music. That is something that's attached to Amazon Prime's membership. So if you go into Amazon Music, you could sign in and you could have access to all of those songs as well. And the same exact thing would happen. As soon as I press play, I can hop around in different tabs. And again, that works for anything that is not attached to a video. And then you'll be able to play music in the background like a pro. Now, one last piece in this tips and tricks PD that I wanted to talk about is troubleshooting with your board. If for whatever reason your board isn't working as it should, what are a few quick little tips and tricks that you can have in your toolkit to where you're going to be able to knock those things out and get back into your lesson within seconds or minutes, so that way you don't simply derail everything that's going on in your classroom or have to wait for help desk to come or something like that. So very similar to any other piece of technology, the best thing that you can do is if something is frozen or not working properly is to just give it a quick reboot, to restart it, because 9 times out of 10, that's going to resolve your issue. So know where your power switch is, not the plug at the top of the wall. Don't unplug that unless you are told to do so. But there is a switch. Mine on this board is right where my hand is at right now, right where my finger is. I can feel the switch. If you have the newest version of the board, which is most of you, it's hiding a little bit further back along the side. So it's almost like if there's a bar right here, the power switch is on this side up here. So know where your power switch is. Go explore, find where it's at, and switch it off. Switch it back on. And it should be back up and running within just about a minute or so. So I wanted to give you a real world example of what it looks like for the smartboard to be restarting, and the fact that you could simply have your students do a turn and talk or be a part of just a quick little discussion while your smartboard is restarting if for whatever reason something wasn't working right. And remember, if you're in a whiteboard file, all of those things autosave. So it's not as if you're going to lose any of those things. If you were in your web browser, all of those tabs autosave. So it's not as if you're going to lose those. If your document camera is plugged in, you hop right back into the camera app and you're going to be good to go. So in just about a minute's time, it's already loaded back up. I have auto sign-in set up on this board. So it's also going to automatically sign me in. That will just take a couple more seconds. But just to give you an idea that I could have myself back up and running within just a minute or so and be ready to hop back into whatever it is that I'm teaching my students. So it's not as if the smartboard needs to be reset. All of a sudden it's going to completely derail my lesson. So now here I am back and ready to go with all my files, all of my favorites. I can go back into my browser. Everything is still there from when I had it before, even though it was a complete reset of the board. All right, the last piece of this training, I want to talk about this guy, the document camera, really quick. Just as a quick tip for you, if you are plugging your document camera directly into your board, whether it's in the front or on the back side to make things look a little bit neater, and you're going into the camera app and you're running it from here, for the vast majority of us, we haven't experienced any problems with this application. But for some of us, we are starting to notice that there is a little bit of freezing going on with the document camera, or it is simply saying that there's no document camera connected, even when it is. And sometimes even when staff members are restarting their device, the smartboard itself, it is still giving them that error message. If that is the case, just so you're aware, we have issued a ticket with Smart and they are looking into this further. But in the meantime, my suggestion would be one of two things. You can plug in directly, if you need to use your document camera, plug directly in to your smartboard using the HDMI and USB cables to your laptop, and then plug the document camera into your laptop and just kind of run it old school in the meantime. Or you could also use Smart Mirror, which is a separate little mini PD if you're interested, to wirelessly connect your laptop to your board so that way you don't need any cords, and then just plug your document camera into your laptop and run it that way. And then you can still be at the back of the room presenting your document camera to the front, no problem. So there's two options if you're having issues with your document camera plugging directly into your board. You would know because you would get something like this. Even when the document camera is plugged in, you would get a camera error, almost like it's saying nothing is plugged in. So I wanted to float that your way as well. Again, there are other mini training opportunities for plugging directly into the board with HDMI output and using smart mirrors. So if you need a little bit of help with either one of those, there are options out there for you to earn some more points in this choice board training. Thanks so much. We'll see you in the next one.